First I'd like to recognize also Dr. Richard Snyder, former mayor, and current council members are here today. Also from our school board, we have David Adelstein. I always want to say Dr. David Adelstein. I know he's a lawyer. So. We also have, of course, our city manager, John Davidson. We have our fire chief, Chief Wallace. We have battalion chief, Chief Gorell. We have our police chief, Joe Payne, right there. We have, of course, we have, I want to say Treasurer Emeritus, is that good? Vic Robinette is here. All right, and then we also have from our school district, we do have our superintendent of schools, Joel Shapiro. Joel. And we do have, of course, our principal from South Pasadena High School, also a South Pasadena High School graduate, Janet Anderson. So, we also from Anthony Portantino, our current assembly member and person, plug, he's running for Congress. Povanas Gasparian is here as his representative. And I'd like to then also recognize Sue Kim Hansen's family. Francie Cho, she's here, and family. You want to wave a little bit? I know one of their cousins are going to be speaking here a little later as one of the relatives. So if I've forgotten or missed something, it wasn't intentional, and somebody I'm sure will bring it to my attention before we finish today. Okay, as we enter in this 10th anniversary, the reason of coming and reflecting here each year since I've been on the council is to have a connection not only, as I see with maybe Sarah here and my daughter Tiffany and Jesse over here as current and future graduates at South Pasadena High School, but connection to history. We're here to talk about 9/11, 2001. In a lot of cases, as a city and residents of a major American city 2,000 miles away, most of us only reflected and saw this incident on television. Some of us as our children were very young when this happened, so they may have saw it on television for some, but most of them today, this weekend, is probably the first glimpses that they have seen as almost near adults to understand the weight of that point in time, which we as adults will probably be forever burned in our memory. There are those points in time. We're here today to recognize South Pasadena's direct connection to the 9/11 tragedy. As we will talk about later as we go through here, we had a daughter of South Pasadena, a graduate of South Pasadena High School, 1984, Sue Kim Hansen, was on the second plane that hit the towers. So we're here today to connect. And they always say the term never forget. But we're here to connect as our generation and future generations with our children to something that is part of American history. We're here today to put down all the political divide, all the rancor that we see on television today, to come back as we did September 12th of 2001 as all being Americans, all being united as one toward a purpose that I think on this September 12th and 2001 reinvigorated the spirit of volunteerism, the spirit of giving, the spirit of reaching out to our fellow human beings and of course our citizens on being hopefully better people, better individuals, and of course a better nation than we were September 10th, 2001. Here we are 10 years later, continuing to build that connection to the memories of that day and hopefully the memories that we will build for the future and beyond. So that connection is what we're here today. I want to make sure we recognize that over almost 3,000 innocent people perished on that day. People that were fathers, mothers, daughters, brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, that in these last 10 years, I believe they are hoping for us to make the best of that experience and spread it through our lives going forward. I know Councilman Putman talked about those who have fought for our country. I look at those that died on September 11th, those that were innocent weren't prepared. But on that day, those that weren't prepared for that tragedy, there were others that spent their lives to be prepared for that tragedy. That's such tragedy. So those of the members of our safety personnel, fire, police, who every day step forward for the citizens in preparation for that tragedy or to come, and be prepared to step forward and be on that line. So we're here to not only dedicate those who lost their lives that day, our safety personnel, and those of our military who, on that day, volunteered, stepped forward, went through training, and went to be prepared to take on the vigil for our country and for freedom across our seas and to foreign battlefields, and that are still out there today. So we are also here for them. There are some other elected officials here. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure this is sort of an open thing. I wasn't sure if Dr. Schneider, if you wanted to make any comments, or Hovan, were you making any comments for Assembly member? We were okay. All right. I'd like to now also introduce and welcome to the microphone Kevin Danny, a former South Pasadena resident and also a survivor of the attacks on the World Trade Center. And he is here with us almost every year, and we're very honored on this special occasion and this anniversary to have him here with us. So, Kevin.
Thank you, Mayor. It's great to be here in South Pasadena, longtime resident. My mother, Pam, still lives here in this beautiful city, and this is like coming home for me, especially on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. It was pretty powerful this morning because my wife and I were watching the coverage on CNN, and we looked at the images, and we saw they were reading or showing the names of all those that were lost, and we looked at the screen and it said Sue Kim Hansen. And I got chills as I saw her name and then her family's names that came across that TV screen. And I know that she's here with us today, and we're going to pay tribute to her and her family. My story goes, as a South Pass resident, I grew up here, ended up going to St. Francis High School and then Occidental College, so I stayed close by to home, and then accepted an internship with my company, Morgan Stanley. And I had just graduated from school in May and passed all my training, and then they said, Kevin, you're going to go off to New York to complete the final leg of your training, and you're going to be in the World Trade Center. And I said, wow, that's incredible. And we started on September 10th, 2001 on the 61st floor of the South Tower. And my entire group was so excited about the program and about being in New York City and in the World Trade Center. And then, of course, we all know what happened on Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. We were in the towers, and I remember that it was a beautiful day in New York City. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and it was just a beautiful morning there in New York. And we were dismissed for a 20-minute break, and it was during that time that I went to the opposite end of my floor and looked out the window, and in horror saw that there were flames that were pouring out of the North Tower. And I was 22 years old and could not believe what I was looking at, and so I ran back to my conference area on the 61st floor with my company, and we started to evacuate. And we evacuated, got down to the 55th floor, and then that's when the second plane slammed into our tower, just 20 floors above me. And it was a violent collision. The walls cracked, and the lights went out, and we knew at that time that we were under attack. And so very quickly we proceeded down those stairs and got down to about the 30th floor, and that's when I started passing firefighters that were on their way up. And I'll never forget their faces. I'll never forget their words of encouragement as they said, "You're going to make it, you're fine. Everything's secure down below." And that really helped us as we went down those stairs. And I got out of the tower and looked up and saw these two massive buildings on fire. And that's when I left the area to contact my family here in South Pasadena. And it was during that time, 12 minutes after I exited the South Tower, that it collapsed. And I saw that dust cloud that was coming down the street and ran as fast as I could and was able to escape the dust cloud. But my message to you today is one of a positive story. I'm one of the lucky ones, not because I survived, but because I got to witness the incredible heroism of our firefighters, our police officers, the rescue personnel that were there that saved so many like me. And as the mayor said, let's use this time to thank our local firefighters and police officers, all those who put themselves in harm's way for us each and every day. A lot of it goes unnoticed, but not for me. Every time I see a firefighter, a police officer, I say thank you for their service and for all that they do for us. Two other things that I wanted to mention. Number one, of course, I have a beautiful family now. My wife Elena is here and our 9-month-old daughter Molly. I have a 3-year-old son, Luke. He couldn't be here today. He wanted to play at the park, so he's doing fine. And one very important aspect for me is my family, of course. And I've got my aunt and uncle, South Pass residents, Jay and Kathy Toffoli. My cousin Claire's here as well. And the support of family has been so incredible. And in conclusion, I do want to say that one of my fondest memories of coming home after my experience was meeting here at the fire station in South Pasadena. I had dinner with the firefighters and I wanted to thank them for their service and what they do for us in our own community. And 10 years later, it's one of my fondest memories of breaking bread with them, telling them how much I care about them and what they do in our communities. And it reminds me on the 10th anniversary how lucky we are to have such a fine fire department and police department here in the city. But with that, let's always remember 9/11. Let's take those lessons that we learned that horrible day. But I'm here to tell you that there were some incredible positives, and we'll always remember the service that those men and women did for us that day. And I'm here because of it. Thank you very much.